Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer. The very first apartment I lived in had a 4-foot high ceiling. I couldn't stand living there. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at Firefly 10th Anniversary Edition from Gale Force 9.
We'll get back to the review in just a moment. I want to take a minute to ask you to check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about history, books on history, military history. I even post some of my lectures for my classes on there. Please check that out. Please subscribe to that channel. And now, back to the review.
Firefly 10th Anniversary Edition was available through a GameFound campaign a little while back. Now, I had played the original Firefly board game many times, and I'd never actually reviewed it. I had reviewed some of the expansions, but I'd never reviewed the base game. I'm going to do that now. I'm doing it with the 10th Anniversary Edition. I'm not going to get into everything here. I just want to tell you about the basics of the way this game plays, show you some stuff we played with, and go from there. Now, Firefly, of course, is based on the television program that ran in the early 2000s. It is about essentially a space western. You've got Malcolm Reynolds, who's the captain of the Serenity, the Firefly-class ship, as he goes around the verse, making deals, getting out of scrapes, fighting the Alliance, and facing the deadly, deadly Reavers. This game actually incorporates a lot of that, in fact, pretty much all of that, into this board game with the 10th Anniversary Edition with all of the expansions. Now, essentially, at the beginning of the game, you're going to pick a story. This is a unique scenario, and there are various story cards. Each of the expansions has different story cards that come with it, too. These are all baked into the 10th Anniversary Edition. You go ahead and you can pick a story that you want to play, and that gives you kind of the goals for the game, the basic scenario, the stuff you're trying to accomplish. Each player is going to select a ship, and they're going to select a captain. Now, again, depending on how you're playing the game, there's some options where you can select a captain, but you can also select a special member of the crew. You can, like I say, select the captain, but your ship is going to have its own unique core drive. You can swap that out later to go further. That's going to essentially say how far your ship can fly for an action. But you're also going to get a number of spare parts and fuel that you're going to place in kind of your cargo area on your ship. And you're also going to start the game with 3,000 credits. Now, the game board, or the game mat with the 10th Anniversary Edition, is the verse. Now, if you're just playing kind of with core game rules, or maybe some of the expansions, you can use different parts of the board. You've got the Alliance and the border territories, and then you've got the rim territories. And there are different colors, so you kind of know which area you're going from and which nav deck you're going to draw from. Now, there are 4 different actions in the game, and each turn you can take 2 actions. The actions are fly. Now, there are 2 different kinds of flight here. You can take a mosey flight, meaning you just move 1 space. You're not going to get very far that way. Or you can do full burn. Now you have, with your ship's core, it says how many spaces you can move at full burn. Now for each space you move through, you have to draw a nav card. Now the nav card is going to be reflective of which area of space you're in, either Alliance space, border space, or rim space. Now, Alliance space is scary because you've got a greater chance of running into the Alliance cruiser, or maybe the Corvette if you're playing with that. The border space, it's a little better, but there still can be some hazards out there. If you get into rim space, that can get scary because you may run into the Reavers. Icky. But each of these cards, most of them will just say keep flying, meaning you just go draw another card. But some cards will give you opportunities. Other cards will, again, your enemies will track you down, try to get on top of you. Like in Alliance space, you may run into the Alliance cruiser. Now, if you've got fugitives on your ship, if you've got a warrant out for you, if you've got wanted crew members, that can be a problem. Now, the second thing you can do is buy. Now, many of the systems on the verse board have their own card decks. And you can go to that space and you can look through any of the discarded cards and see if there's something you want to buy. Or you can draw cards from the top of the deck. You can draw, I think, 3 cards. You can consider 2. I mean, you could potentially buy up to 2 of those cards. Everything else gets discarded. But you go through and you can buy, you can purchase any of those cards, and sometimes you're going to get more crew. This is something that's absolutely essential. You need to get crew cards on there, but you may also get certain items you need to complete jobs. You may get weapons or other goodies that you can attach to crew members on missions or to the ship itself. You can buy a new core so you can go further. There's all sorts of things you buy. Fake IDs can be helpful in getting you through stuff. But like I said, there's a lot of different stuff you can buy at these shipyards. The next thing you can do is deal. Now, at the beginning of the game, you will be able to grab a number of mission cards right off the bat. You don't start them, they're just kind of in your hand, but you can actually go to these characters on the board and try to look for better jobs and try to find jobs that you think are doable, that you can make happen. So you can go ahead and put those cards in your hand. Again, it's the same thing. You can look through the old ones, or you can draw 3 and consider 2. You can go ahead then, and if you want to fulfill some of these jobs, you can put them into your kind of active job area. I think there's only 3 active jobs you can have at a time. There's all sorts of different jobs that you can take on when you do this. Now, some of the jobs may be illegal, in which case, if you're in the middle of them and the Alliance catches you, you could be screwed. Some of them are immoral, meaning your crew, which is moral, unless it says immoral, they may have a problem with you. They may become disgruntled. You don't want a disgruntled crew. You don't want a disgruntled captain. So there's different choices and ideas you have to balance in order to decide what missions you want to take on. And finally, you can work. You can work a job. Now, working a job, again, you actually are trying to fulfill those deals that you made. You go to the locations where it says you have to go. There's usually a starting and an ending location. You go to that ending location, you do whatever it says, and you play that out. Now, one of the key things that's happening in this game is you will frequently have to take skill checks. Now, this is why you want to get a crew. This is why you want to buy those weapons and things, because those items will make it easier for you to pass the skill checks. For instance, you may want more guns. The more guns you have, if you have to fight it out, are really important. You may want to negotiate, so you want the strong people with a strong negotiate icon to help you negotiate through different problems. You may want tech, people with engineering skills, because they may be necessary in order to solve some of these problems too. So you're trying to collect all of these things. And what you're doing during a skill check is, if you're trying to hit a certain number, you count up whatever number of that icon you have, and then you roll a die, you add those 2 together to see if you have passed the skill check. Critically, in some of the missions you take, especially some of the illegal ones, you will have to misbehave. And if you misbehave, you have to draw cards from the misbehave deck. Now, these are also kind of suit playing cards, but they also tell you specifically things you have to do and the orders you have to do them. And as you play these, you may have to play through several of them. They say, play 3 misbehave cards, 4 misbehave cards. You play through the various misbehave cards, and you are rolling die. Sometimes it may say you pass it if you have a fake ID, or if you have some piece of technology or something on your ship, you can just pass it, you're good. Otherwise, you have to play through the various cards. You're hoping you pass. If you can pass them all, then you have completed that mission. Now, anytime you complete a mission from one of the contacts, you actually place that card upside down, so the top of it's showing on your ship, that indicates you are solid with that contact, meaning that you've worked together before, you trust each other to an extent, and that can have various ramifications throughout the game. If you're solid with certain contacts, good things can happen. If you're not, maybe bad things will happen. Now, as I say, as all of this is going on, there are a lot of different things that are going to happen that are, evocative of the TV show. As I say, you may run into the Alliance, you may run into Reavers, you may be attacking each other, you may have kind of random people from the Firefly universe may get involved, and you may have, problems with them. Frequently, too, as you're going through the nav decks, other players will be manipulating the NPCs, the Reavers, and the Alliance around the board, moving them maybe toward you or toward other players they're not too happy with in order to cause them problems. And so players go back and forth. They are flying around the verse. They are buying items they're going to need. They are taking jobs. They are completing those jobs. They are misbehaving. And all the while, they are rolling skill checks and encountering new and interesting things from the Firefly universe. As soon as one player has fulfilled the unique conditions of that story card, then they win! Firefly the board game, 10th Anniversary Edition. Okay, so as I say, I've played Firefly, the original Firefly, a lot. I actually hadn't played it in a few years. It had probably been at least 5 years, I think, since I played it. But I played it a lot back in the day, and it was always one of my favorites. For a few years, like Zach and Sean and I think Mike Brown, we get together like every Christmas break, and we play a game of it. I really love this game. It's just a tremendously, tremendously fun game. I was a big fan of the TV show. I didn't see it first. In fact, my friend Mike, he actually had the DVDs like a couple of years after they were off, and he kind of forced them on me. I'm like, all right, I'll watch it, and I got hooked. I absolutely loved it. In fact, right now, Kim had never seen it before. We're actually going through and watching it. We just watched an episode today, as a matter of fact, and she's really enjoying those quite a bit. So it's a super, super, super fun TV show. If you haven't seen it, please check it out. I think it's on Hulu right now. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. The game I freaking loved. I think, if memory serves, Gale Force 9 sent me a copy that I reviewed for the newspaper I was writing 4 years ago. But I never actually did a review of Firefly on the channel. Like I say, I reviewed 1 or 2 of the expansions, as I recall, but I've never reviewed the base game here on the channel. Like I said, there's a ton more stuff that I'm not even getting into here, and the expansions bring a lot of stuff in here. You've got, like, for instance, some of the crew members have warrants. You can try to capture them from other people and turn them in and make money. You can turn them in yourself and make money. There's a class of people called Deceptive, and they can do capers, which are like special missions that you have to have somebody on your crew with Deceptive to do. There's just a ton of stuff here, and there's a lot of different ships, and their configurations of the ships are very different. This is just a great pick up and deliver game that's got some spice and sugar and really a lot of flavor of the TV show. In fact, I would say this is one of the most thematic IP games I've ever played, perhaps behind only Battlestar Galactica and Star Wars Rebellion. I think this is just incredibly, incredibly thematic. So I got this new 10th Anniversary Edition. I saw it was on GameFound, and I had most of the stuff, but I didn't have it all. And I was really excited here for this 10th Anniversary Edition. Because it had everything. Storage solution was good. I had everything I had in 2 boxes. The main box and one of the expansion boxes, and I think I had just all the cards in one box and everything else in another box. Because this is a real estate hog. When you get this game out on the table, as you can see, it's massive. This is one of the biggest real estate hog games I own. In fact, I can't play it here at my apartment because my table, the whole length of the mat won't fit on my table, to say nothing of all the room I need for all the cards and stuff. So yeah, it's a big game. It leaves a big footprint. This new edition's cool. I should say, so we played this at Ray's house. We actually played with Ray's copy. He got a copy too of the 10th Anniversary Edition. He got all the sleeves and everything. And he's not a big fan of the paper money. The game comes with this massive, like, each bill is like that big. They're like massive. And he prefers poker chips. So we actually used poker chips for the money for the game we were playing there. But just so you know, it does have this massive money that this edition comes with. But you've got tons of tokens. Like I say, massive amount of cards. You've got, I think it comes with about a dozen or so ships, the Firefly ships that you're playing with, as well as the Alliance ships, the Reaver ships, etc., etc. So there's a lot of different little minis that you can use here, and the minis here are painted. They look great as opposed to the base game one, which is a little more generic. The 10th Anniversary also comes with trays. You each get like 4 trays for like all your basic tokens and stuff. There's trays for all the cards. There's a great little place to hold your mat. It's a big box, and it's a heavy box too. But it's pretty cool the way they managed to fit everything in here. And one of the things also that's cool is the rule book. They printed the rule book with all of the expansions in it, so you're not looking at different rule books in order to get to the expansions, which I really, really, really liked quite a bit. You know, I remember one game I was playing of this. I was playing with Zach years ago. I remember it was me, Aaron Bellis, Zach, and Russ Peacock, and we're playing all together. And Zach, I think it was the first time Zach had played, and Zach was kind of taking his time. He wasn't really working toward the goal of the game. This is a game where you don't even really have to play to win. You just play for the experience, right? But about halfway through the game, he's realizing, oh, I need to start trying to win. So he actually got on board and he starts doing the things he needs to do. And we're kind of getting toward the end game where most of us are kind of getting in a position where we're closing in on the win. But Zach had everything. He had to get to a planet. He had like all the money he needed. He had all the other things he needed, and he had to get to a planet. And he goes to this planet, and it just so happened he had a warrant out on him. And as he gets to the planet, he runs into the Alliance cruiser, and he had to pay off the warrants and pay for a bunch of other stuff. And he lost his money, and he was screaming. He was screaming, "I hate this game! I hate this game!" But he really meant he loved the game, which he did. It was so frustrating, but he had so much fun with it, and we played it several times since, as I say. And again, that's it's just very true. This is a game. Some games you absolutely play to win, and you try to win here for sure. But man, you just like being in this universe. You like doing the things you got to do. Now, the original core game had a reputation of pretty much just being a group solitaire game, right? Everybody was just doing their own thing. And Gale Force 9 heard a lot of the complaints about that, and so subsequent editions of the game, or the expansions of the game rather, they incorporated more tactics. Like I think it was the Pirates and Bounty Hunters. You can attack each other, try to steal somebody from others, try to steal a crew or somebody from somebody else's ship and put them on there, and that's really cool. And it provided a lot of more interaction here. And one thing too here about the game is that I really like. I didn't mention, but every time you do a job, you think you're going to make all this money, but you have to pay off all your crew. So you buy your crew to bring them on, but every time you do a job, you have to pay off your crew. So it's not nearly as much money as you're thinking. And so there's really some kind of economic ideas here in this pick up and deliver game that I really like. And it's almost in some senses kind of a Euro like that. But of course, it's not really a Euro because you've got these dice rolls and combat and stuff like that. Anyway, love this game. Love it, love it, love it. Like I say, I don't know if this 10th anniversary edition is going to be made available again. But if you have not played Firefly, it is worth picking up the base game. The base game alone is a very fun game. It gets more fun with the more expansions that you add, and this is the 10th anniversary edition is the most fun of all. It's beautiful, it's big, it's brilliant. I'd say buy it. Like I say, I don't know if it's available, but if you have never played Firefly, pick up the original core game, start buying expansions, buy it, buy it, buy it. I love it. Thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We'd ask you to please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. I'd also ask you, ladies and gentlemen, to please check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about military history, books on history, fun things like that. I even post some of my history lectures on that channel, so please check that out. Please subscribe. It would mean a lot to me. If you get a chance, please leave a thumb for this video on Board Game Geek. And I'd also ask you to, I'd humbly ask you to click on the Super Thanks button and leave a tip. You know, ladies and gentlemen, daylight savings time really upsets me. I lost sleep over it. Please somebody help me on my feet again. And I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time.
I don't get it. I don't win. So I go back to my ship. Hey, all right.